Hey there, folks. Schwermetallisch here. I'm sitting here with Tom Dewitt, my buddy, sometimes mentor, prog Yoda, and overall fine guy. Hey, Tom.
Prog Yoda. That's definitely a new one. Like, I have been called. This is years before we even met. I was called Tom Dalf the White because I was doing all the stuff that I do, and I tend to. Not unsolicited, but I if I can help people, I will. So there were like a few people like sharing that meme around. They posted my face on Ian McKellen's character from Lord of the Rings, and that meme went around. I was like, I'm cool with this. But the Prog Yoda, that new one that is, yes, never heard that.
The question is, if you're Tom Darth the White, what did occur to turn you into the White? Because you obviously had to be Tom Darth the Grey at first.
It's crippling depression, probably.
Yeah, it's a mental disorder called Balrog.
Yeah, it's like it was gruesome. I tried to get like some. I tried to get a coupon from the local supermarket, and then this big ugly motherfucker tried to punch me in the face because he wanted the coupon as well, and he was called Balrog. And for those of you who played Street Fighter, you know what I'm talking about. And after that, I just went, yeah, exactly. And after that, I just kind of lost consciousness, and here I am.
He's a white now. Cool.
Yeah, just like I'm white now. That's I don't know what to think of this. That's basically what happened.
I just took an epic shit and turned out white.
Yeah, exactly. It could have been anything, really. I mean, in that sense, I think we talked about this before. It's like my brain is, as opposed to what people might think based on my output, the music, etc. My brain is, I would say, 80% filled with randomness. So if you would challenge me to do this whole interview filled with random stories that never happened, which make no sense and which are completely made up of non sequiturs, I'll be your guy. Like we could do that.
We will touch upon that later, definitely.
I don't expect that your fans will appreciate that. So let's not do that. This is tea, by the way, not liquid cocaine. This is regular tea. Here we go.
We don't have to believe you because we can't see what's in it, obviously.
Well, now you can see. It looks pretty tea-like. There you go.
It's liquid ecstasy.
Yeah, no, it I mean, the cocaine kind of already became a part of it by now.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So, the 26th on this month, we'll see your new output, Fountains. Yeah. Tell us about this. While I drink coffee and try to look totally metal.
I mean, guys, can we just get like I want a thumbs up on this video, not for me, but for his coffee cup, because that coffee cup deserves a thumbs up. Also, the Schwermetallisch shirt is really cool, but I mean, look at this coffee cup. That is amazing. Well, Fountains is my 7th solo album, which is kind of surreal when thinking about it, because it feels like I started last year, if you know what I mean. It's like time is weird, man. But yeah, it's basically the new TDW record, which is TDW is my studio project in which I basically write whatever the fuck I want in whatever way I want to. And Fountains is interesting because it is the first album that I wrote based on fan-made ideas. Because just gotta rewind the clock a little bit, which is funny because the last album was called The Days the Clock Stopped, so we're rewinding until they stop. And in 2020, I released an album called The Days the Clock Stopped, and in the year working towards that from 2019 and 2020, I produced that record. And when I wanted to release that album, I kind of felt like I want to see if I can pull off a crowdfund. That was the idea I had back then. That was like late 2019, early 2020. And in that crowdfund, I told people like, hey, I'm working on this really personal record called The Days the Clock Stopped, very important to me. And if you guys want to help, then you can donate to, this specific product. And then if we make a certain stretch goal, then we can do it on vinyl and we can put it on DVD and CD and all those things. So that was what I originally started out doing. And I wasn't really sure if it would work or not. You know, I was honestly, I was a bit like a lot of artists these days have the feeling like, well, I'm making all this music and I'm working really hard, but who the fuck actually cares? You know, it's just this feeling that has been made bigger because of social media and how, you know, the algorithms work now and how hard it is to seemingly reach out to people. But I figured, you know what, worst thing that could happen is that no one responds and whatever. You know, like then in the worst case, I'll just have a page saying, you got 15 euros for your new album. You know what I mean? And it's like, oh, that's painful, but okay. You know, like that kind of situation. And fortunately, I was proven very wrong because we got a substantial amount of money and there was quite a few people who supported, which was great. And in that supporting period, I told people like, hey, if you support up to a certain level, you will get the album on CD, and if you support to a certain level, you get the vinyl, you get the T-shirt, and in the highest tier, the 100 euro tier, I said, I'll write you a song. Like, you'll get everything that I already mentioned, but I'll also write you a song. And I just kind of put that there because you always got to have one highest unattainable tier, if you know what I mean. You got to do this one thing that just sounds ridiculous and whatever. No one will probably do it, but we'll see. And then 7 people suddenly did that, and I was like, "Oh wow!" You know, that was a big deal. So, besides being able to make that album and releasing it in late 2020 and in April 2021 on vinyl, because that took a bit to get that produced, I kind of felt like, okay, these people really paid this much money to get this, which is like, that's huge. To me, at least, that is huge, and I should at least honor them by writing some kick-ass songs for them. And originally my thought was to just write these songs on YouTube and just, you know, like make a song, put it on YouTube, maybe make a video or put like a cool graphic on it, and there you go, that's your song. But then I started realizing when writing it, because I basically started writing these new songs immediately once that album was out. Like, the album came out early December and I instantly started writing these new songs for these people, because I was like, well, I shouldn't keep them waiting for too long, so I should at least try to write them in the next few months so that they're not waiting for their songs for 10 years or whatever. And basically within a few months I had this whole album together, and I had like the 7 songs written for these people. And then I started realizing, like, these aren't YouTube songs, this is an album. You know, this is actually, these are different subjects and rather different songs, but because I was writing them in the same period and I was apparently in a certain mindset, the album turned out pretty coherent. Like, these 7 songs were different, they're all radically different, but they do sound alike in a way, you know, like they have certain touches that connect them. And I also had a few other songs lying around, which I had for, some I actually had for a few years already, some kind of came out of nowhere at that point in time. And I just realized, like, I got 10 songs now, this is an album. You know, like, this is not just a bunch of fan songs. This is a coherent record with, weirdly enough, a logic to it, even though it's not necessarily one storyline or whatever, but it made sense. And that's how Fountains came to be. It was like, I suddenly realized that I basically wrote a new album in about 3 months, and which was really weird thinking about that, because most of the time when I write records, I need a few years, you know, like, I need to make an idea, and then not listen to it for a month, and then listen to it again and add stuff. You know, that's how I normally work. And this was like, okay, bleh, here's an album now. You know, just kind of, like the joke you made about pooping earlier, that's kind of what it felt like. You know, like, okay, I just pooped out this song in a day. What the hell? And it's done now. Huh? What? And it's funny because when I had the whole album together, I just knew, like, well, then I also got to produce this quickly. Like, I shouldn't spend a year producing this. I should just get this going. So I basically spent 6 months in total writing, creating, and making this album that you're hearing now. And I already got people responding. Obviously, first reviews have come in, and I've got responses from the fans who heard the album, because we're doing this interview on, what's the day today? It's the 21st. 21st, and the album's coming out on the 26th, so obviously it's already been sent out to the fans digitally, etc. And people have really been responding like, dude, this sounds even better than The Days the Clock Stopped, and you did this in 6 months? And my response is a bit like, well, yeah, I'm just as surprised as you are. You know what I mean? Because I wasn't even sure if I was able to pull it off, really. And especially in these weird COVID times, it's like, Yeah, it's been a trip, but yeah. So this Friday on the streaming services, because it's first coming out digitally on the 26th of November. The album's coming out, and then everyone can listen to it and everyone can judge it. And this week I'll be releasing a documentary about the making of, and all this stuff is going to come out for everyone to see and hear. And then hopefully in the next month or so, or in the next few weeks, I'll be getting the vinyls in. Because, well, we all know there's a worldwide vinyl shortage, and it's just been a bit of hell to make physical products right now.
Yeah.
But I do already have the cover, like the booklets in, and the CDs are already in the Netherlands. I'm literally just waiting for the vinyl and the cover so we can put everything together, and I can start sending it out to people. That's the situation I'm in right now, and it's just so weird to realize, like, holy shit, I'm releasing 2 vinyls in 1 year. That is so, it really feels surreal, but in the coolest way, though. Like, it does feel really cool.
That's a lot of information, John. Yeah, the crowdfunding stuff. I'm really happy that this turned out so great for you. You are one of the few good examples how to do a crowdfunding and get shit together. I know there's artists out there, musicians out there that are milking their fan base.
Oh yeah, no, I hate that.
I won't name names.
Well, we all know bands that do this and artists that do this, and the thing is, I think maybe regarding that, it's also really a perspective thing. I try not to judge too harshly on that in advance, and that's not me being like political, because I don't want to insult anybody, but in my case, it's like my music it's my passion, but I already decided that I don't want to pay my rent from my music. You know what I mean? It's like, this is not my main income. So in that sense, I promote it, and I will obviously do everything I can to promote the record because I want people to hear my music, but it's not as much a, oh shit, there's a mortgage and there's a family I gotta feed and there's all these things that I need to do, which I need to pay for with my music, which of course is the situation for some people. And then I can imagine that you might want to re-release your album 2 times with bonus tracks or whatever, because you really just need the money. It's like, there's of course there's artists who have less of a reason to do so, I would say, and then the cynical side, the thing that you're kind of expressing, which I agree with, by the way, because there's definitely artists that are milking it, absolutely. But there's also some situations in which I'm like, I wouldn't do it myself, but I can't blame them. Like I see where they're coming from. You know what I mean? That kind of situation.
I always think that it would be best to do an album you could do by yourself, if push comes to shove, and just kind of you do it with the money from the fans, because you want to give more to the more back in that circle. It's like, okay, you support me, so you get a kick-ass T-shirt and a patch and I don't know, a back rub, stuff like that.
Absolutely. Yeah, for me in general, I would say, just regarding crowdfunding and doing these things, I make it new. You know what I mean? Make something new and give people a reason to do so. It's like, I've now done 2 brand new albums for people and gave them a lot of extra content, like documentaries and special T-shirts and that kind of stuff. And then it's like, then there's a point to it, I think. And the moment you crowdfund something no one's waiting for, or no one wants to support, that's when it fails. It's like, I've seen bands, for example, that released nothing, like not had any release yet, have not really played live or whatever, did not build a track record, and they would do crowdfunding, and then you get the situation like, well, at least my mom pledged. You know what I mean?
I saw one particular example was a band I really like. Just that if you support this new album with more than I think $500, it was like you can visit us and we will spend I think that was 2 days with you, and we will show you where you get the best chili con carne and stuff like that, and we will have a few beers and stuff like that. and it was like we get your bucks and we take you out for the weekend, and that's on us.
Okay, like 500 is a lot of money to me. Also, these are cookies, by the way. Sorry for eating during the interview, but someone once told me I kind of needed my sugar, and someone told me that if you eat, people will listen to you better. So I'm kind of hoping that psychologically adds to this situation. I don't know, but regarding that, it's like, okay, then they're giving something substantial, which probably is 2 days of real partying, which is fun, you know. So
Yes.
I can get that. I don't know. For me, it's really like the whole point of everything I do, and that is why the crowdfunding works. I don't know, is that it really is it's all in favor and support of the actual art that's being made. Like, people are allowed to see my finances if they want to. I can literally just show, like, this is how much the vinyl costs. This is how much the shipping is. This is how much the t-shirts are. You know, like, there's no money that is pledged to these campaigns ending up in my personal back pocket to buy video games off or something. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm not going to buy new Nintendo Switch games off the money I got from the TDW pre-sale. And even if I would make way too much money, which is not the case, like, I always have to put in some of my own money, and that's okay. I'm fine with that. That's, you know, you have a career, you got to take it seriously, so it costs money. Easy as that. But it's just that I think in that sense, I've always been very transparent about everything I do. So when you're transparent, then people know what they're donating towards, and that helps. And yeah. I've seen a lot of bands. I don't know, man. I've seen a lot of bands just, not just on crowdfunding, but on social media in general. Like, one of the first advices I give to people working with Layered Reality is, like, be honest. Like, people actually, weirdly enough, appreciate it if you share bad news as well, because you're honest. You know, you're not lying about this weird parallel universe in which your band is the biggest thing ever. It's like, no, you live on planet Earth, and shit sometimes is fucked, and you got to be honest about those things. And weirdly enough, I've been very honest about, for example, setbacks with the last album. That, for example, for the vinyl was like weeks later because of production issues, etc. And I just made a video like, hey guys, I'm sorry, I wanted to have the vinyl out to you guys on time, but I can't, because I literally don't have it. You could search my house, I don't have it. And everyone was so cool about it, and actually got compliments from other musicians, like, wow, that is actually a ballsy move to say that out loud. And I'm like, how is that ballsy? That, to me, that's common courtesy. People gave me like 3,000 fucking euros, man. You got to be honest about those things. At least
it's a business relationship in the end.
Yeah, basically, if I would work for a client in my studio, which is, you know, that's my main job. If I work for a client, I will always be honest with them, even if that means that I would get off worse. You know, if that would make me look bad or whatever, I don't know. But I'm like, okay, if I'm not honest, then the truth will come out anyway, and then it'll probably be worse for me if I pretend that it didn't happen. You know what I mean? So
yeah, I do appreciate if people act like that. It's not cool to be the last one to hear stuff that is, unfortunately happening. Like tours are cancelled, gigs are cancelled. You don't get your vinyl, you don't get the merch to the people on time. And at this day and age, especially the last 2 years, the years of the plague, people should already know there are shortages.
It's just what it is. So yeah, and I think that well, I mean, now people start to come around to this, and I think in that sense, there's a lot about social media that I don't like, but what I do like is that people actually have to become a bit more human in their communication in a way. It's like, on one hand, social media really is this, look at my life being perfect, I'm only sharing the positive things, which is also a problem, and I agree. But it is easier to get in touch with people now, as opposed to the just reading about your band in magazines and maybe having like a crappy message board somewhere and that's it. You know, it's like I feel that there's more of a responsibility for musicians and people to be more personable, and that means that you can also maybe admit to mistakes or maybe things that you planned wrong. Like, okay, we planned this for now and it's not working out because the factory has burned down, or whatever. But you can actually just grab your phone, make a video, and tell people. You can just tell people like, hey, we tried our best, but sorry. And it's weird that some bands still are not doing that. That they're still not taking that responsibility. I'm like, just do that, because being silent and having a whole comment section filled with people that are hating your guts because they paid you money and they're not getting their merch is probably a worse look than being an honest human and making a video about it. But yeah.
Yeah, as you can see, fans, friends, foes, enemies. I'm a very big fan of Metallica, but I can't see them doing a video telling the fans that they can't deliver on time or stuff like that. Just Lars being Lars would never allow that.
True, but at the same time, the reason why is also logical, because I guess, look, Metallica can actually make a few phone calls and invest like what, $500,000 to get that production process going. You know what I mean? Like, they have that spendable income, and then I think you're on a different level. It's like, at the end of the day, I take my career very seriously, and it's my life, and it's my passion and everything. But I am, at the end of the day, a guy with a budget that reaches to a certain level, which unfortunately is not as high as I would want to, and therefore I cannot be of any influence in the world to change the vinyl shortage. You know what I mean? It's like, that just doesn't work that way. And Metallica obviously is a multi-million-dollar corporation now, with a board of members, and that they are, at the end of the day, still a band, and they're a bunch of dudes who love what they do, and I respect that completely. I think, even if not all their music is my thing necessarily, I do respect the way they run their business. But they have power. If someone calls you on behalf of Metallica, you're listening, and you're gonna do whatever the fuck they say. You know what I mean? It's like, that's just because it's Metallica. But if I call someone, then I'll just be, I don't know, another asshole in the line of many assholes waiting for the vinyl to be printed. That's the difference.
Yeah, you're right on the Metallica front. With if they call you, you're listening, because I'm doing videos, I'm doing reviews. I'm kind of a music journalist.
Mm-hmm.
And
I think you are a music journalist. There you go.
Yeah, my wife disagrees. She says it's a hobby. She's just almost perfect. So I got the newsletter from Metallica, because I'm in that newsletter shenanigans club thingy, and the first time I got that newsletter, it was just like, hey, Schwermetallisch, this is Metallica. And it was on my phone, it was like, whoa! I really thought I got an personally from Metallica, and it was a very agitated second. Then I realized, okay, that's just a newsletter some poor, I don't know, 15-year-old dude wrote.
I would say in their case, no. Well, this might sound weird, but I think that Metallica in that sense is a great example of, if you want to make an enterprise out of your band, there's definitely some things you can learn from them in terms of how they're doing that. And like I said, there's definite stuff that they've done which makes me, well, cringe enormously, and I think that goes for a lot of metalheads. I mean,
Lulu.
Yeah, sorry, I couldn't hear you over the sound of Saint Anger. But the thing is that it's just that they are there, and they are doing the thing that they want to do, and they're doing it well, because otherwise you're not filling up stadiums like that, and you're not selling that much tickets. So it's like, if it is your taste or not, there's no denying that on a business level they're doing something really, really well.
Yeah.
And I think in that sense, it's to revert it back to just the idea of crowdfunding and all those things. It's like, there's different strokes for different folks as well, and I tend to believe that if you're honest about what you do, and if you're dedicated to what you do, and dedicated to the people that support you, and show that dedication, like for real, that will always bring back something good. It might not necessarily bring back, a lot of money. It might not make you rich in your bank account, but what I've learned over the years is that money is nice and all, and it's great, and it's great to make cool products and make something that means something, but it's not the be all end all. Like, I would like to have more money so I can, for example, do a few big shows, a few big TDW shows where I could do the Days the Clock Stop integrally, and then play the Fountain songs, and like get Rich and Fabio over here, and play with all these different musicians and make it like a big party blowout thing, which is expensive as all hell, obviously, to organize. And I don't have the money for that, so I can't. And obviously right now with COVID, things are a bit iffy anyway, but you know what I mean. But at the same time, if I look at the responses I'm getting towards my music from the fan base that I have, even though it's not a huge fan base, but it's a dedicated fan base, and I hear people literally telling me, wow, I'm so happy you wrote The Days the Clock Stop, because I've been through a hospital experience myself, and this album really, felt like someone heard me. And I'm like, yeah, that's being rich. Like money goes away again. But that, someone telling you that doesn't go away. That stays with you for the rest of your life. You know what I mean? That is in my heart and in my hard drive in the back of my subconscious. Like, wow, I changed someone's life. That is, wow. Okay.
Money can buy you happiness. Yes, that's very true. But it helps to move in the direction of general happiness, I think.
It's just money gives options. That's how I tend to see it. It's like, yes, money is obviously something that can help you get happier faster, because there's maybe things you want to do which you cannot do because you don't have money, and therefore you're maybe missing out on some happiness. But it's not the goal itself, which for some reason a lot of people still have this weird notion that money is the thing you need to be happy. I'm like, yeah, it's convenient, but it's the time. For me, it's like the albums I make, the products I make, the time I spend with my loved ones, the time on stage I spend with Dreamwalkers Inc. That's what makes, or the Lay Reality stuff. That's what makes me happy, and money helps, but
yeah, and you can be a billionaire and still don't be happy as long as you don't have a space rocket looking like a dick.
Yeah, well, I mean, you want to fly your penis into outer space, why the hell not? Just go nuts.
But to be honest, on the pictures where he was entering that space cock, he really looked happy as fuck.
Well, and it's like there's a lot of things I could say about this man, and I won't. This is not the place for that. But yeah, if it's a bit like, whatever, if that is what makes him happy, then let him do that. I personally have my own thoughts about that, but like I said, this is not this is not the place for that, probably.
Another video then.
Maybe.
Bashing Jeff Bezos. With Schwermetallisch.
I could do that for hours. Now, let's continue, shall we?
Yeah, let's not ride that cock, space cock.
Oh god.
So you as always, you have had guest musicians on Fountains.
Mm-hmm.
Who is that?
Who? Oh, like you want the whole list?
A few. Just shout out random people.
Okay, just shout. No, I'm gonna go through each track on my album in my head now, so that I know that I'm shouting out everybody. So on the first track, because for those who have no idea, it's like my way of working often is that I write the song and I write the lyrics, I write the music, I know what I want to see and hear, and I kind of keep open spaces. And the open spaces tend to be like, okay, a guitar solo goes here, you know what I mean? And then I just know, like, okay, so this is a song that sounds like this, then it's probably cool to get this guy or this girl to play this guitar solo, and or this MB, obviously. And the same goes for guest vocals and choirs, etc. It's like I think I write about 90% of my albums by myself, on my own, in my studio, because I just know what I want to hear, and I know what the atmosphere should be, and which notes go where, etc. But it's really that final ingredient, the way people fill out my blanks, that is actually what, to me at least, makes the songs complete. You know, it's like, and I've done songs without guests as well. Like sometimes I can just do it by myself, and I'm perfectly happy the way it is. But I've noticed that it's often that last ingredient that pushes a good song into being a very good song. You know, it's like that little extra climax. So, for example, on the opening track, I have guest grunts from a good lady friend of mine, Lynn Liv, and she's in Cyanide Paradise and Pictura Poesis. She is savage. Like, she sounds so angry, and I love it. And I really wanted someone to scream and shout and grunt those words in the song Fountain. So that's all her. And in the video, she plays an amazing marketing lady. It's hilarious. She should, like, I'm not just plugging the video for the sake of please listen to my music, but just watch that video, because everyone in the video is playing amazing parts. I gave them the script. Yes, I wrote the lines, but the way they performed it, that's all them. That, like, they delivered way more than I originally anticipated. And Lynn is the one who does the screams on Fountains. And for guitars, I had Brian Ramage from Ramage Inc. to do the solo. And I was really surprised by what he delivered, because I knew that he's an amazing guitar player. So I was like, hey, do you want to do this thing? And he was like, I'm not sure if I'm suited for it, but I'll give it a go. You know, really trying to manage my expectations. And then when I heard the solo, I was like, dude, this is fucking amazing. I'm keeping it. He was like, really? He was like, it was really fun how humble he was about it. But he did an amazing job. Now, other noteworthy guests, I got Erik Hazebroek from Vetra Draugun Ring. Hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Epic doom band from the Netherlands with Marjan Wellman on vocals. Great band. And I asked him to play a solo on the second track on Inner Enemy, and he played this really weird atonal fucked up solo, which I think is really cool. I know there were some people like, oh, I don't like this solo, it doesn't sound right. I'm like, yeah, that's the point of the song. The whole song is about cluster headaches. It's about being stuck in your brain. So I wanted the solo to sound like someone stabbing you, like really nastily in a way. And he delivered. And that song also has lead vocals by Ron Brew Brouwer from Sacrosanct, German band. And and he is an old collaborator, a good friend of mine. He's been on the choirs for the last few records as well. And it's just really cool to have him do lead vocals for a bit, because that is also his song. He asked me to write that song about clusters. So that was pretty cool. Just like I said, just going through this in my head right now. Hunter's Eyes, I have guitar solo by Leonard Kemper, who's obviously my brother from another mother, and he's also the guitar player in Dreamwalkers Inc. And he did a really good job on that. And I had Katinka Porcius play the flute on that, because I felt that song needed something special, and I never did flute on a record before, so I thought it was really cool to have her do that. On the next track, on Anthracite, I'm skipping Hope Song 1 because that is all me, like that has choir parts, but that is all me doing everything, so there's no guest solo on that. And on Anthracite, I have Lola Damblanc-Solet, who is a French prog rock musician who makes amazing music by herself and also has her own band and everything. And she played a really beautiful solo on Anthracite, so that was really cool. I have Vikram Shankar from Silent Skies and Redemption and Threats of Fate as the keyboard solo on Another Choice, Another Universe, which was also a thing. Like, I had that song and I was really doubting if I wanted to do a guitar solo or something else, and then I was like, keyboard solo is cool. Like I already have a few guitar solos. I should do a keyboard solo to balance things out. And Vikram is basically, I mean, by now he's literally on I don't know, 25 records this year alone. I believe like Vikram is very busy. So it was funny when I asked him, it was like, yeah, okay, like, do you want to be on another record? Like, this will be the 201st record you're on. And he appreciated that joke. And but he did great. That was really cool. Let me think here. Another choice. What's the next track? Oh yeah, and then I have Graveyard Boogie, which is the most stupid song on the album, and also one of my favorites because it's so happy and it's so over the top. And I had Michael Mills from Toehider playing a guitar solo on that, so that was really cool because I love Michael. I love his music, and it's really cool to have someone on your records that you also love and appreciate as much. So like, oh yeah, this is pretty killer to have him on there as well.
Great singer too.
Hmm?
Great singer too.
Yeah, oh man, absolutely. But it was funny because people were like, "Oh, so you got him for a guitar solo? That's weird." And I'm like, "Well, yeah, but I do lead vocals myself, and I couldn't really wasn't sure how to put his vocals in any of it. But I did know, like, he's an amazing guitar player. And when I asked him, he was like, "Yeah, I kind of like that you asked me for a guitar solo, as opposed to because everyone asks him to sing." So he was actually he was really cool about that. He was like, yeah, okay, I'll just I'll shred my ass off, and he did great. It was really cool. The song after, oh yeah, Traveler. That's the one that follows after, which has Morian from Alkaloid, and I believe Dark Fortress. Well, I'm not even sure if Dark Fortress is still a thing. I think it was or is. Sorry, Morian. Sorry. But he and that was also a cool story because I asked him to do a guitar solo, and Traveler is also a really weird avant-garde kind of song. So I was like, I need a dude who's able to do that, and I knew that Morian is obviously a jazz, a classical, and a metalhead. So I basically gave him the instructions, like, go nuts, but please make it weird and angular. And he sent me something back. He was like, is this weird enough? Because I tried to imitate a cuckoo clock in my solo. I was like, that's weird enough. Yeah, sure. It was actually really cool. So he did that. But the best part was that solo is one thing, and then he also sent me a second email saying, P.S. I tried something else. Here's another 6 layers of music. If you don't like it, you don't have to use it, but just see if it works. And he sent me like flamenco guitars and like hand claps and all these extra things. And I was like, this is so fucking amazing. Why didn't I think of this myself? It was really, he basically, the whole midsection of the song that I had written, which I was already pretty proud of, I basically got rid of that midsection and just replaced it with his things because his parts were so incredibly cool. And the song got even weirder because of it. So yeah, Morian in that sense is like, I love all the guests on this album, but I have to give him extra credit for just, basically being bold and saying, hey, I don't mean that you wrote a bad song, but I just had this idea. I'm sending this to you, whatever. You can use it if you want to. And basically just upgrading the song in the process. So that was really weird and really awesome. And then the final song, Hope Song 2, I had Lucas de la Rosa, and they delivered. They basically. I asked them to play like a shred solo on the track because it was really like this big epic ending part, and I wanted someone to really shred it to the end. Like really push that crescendo in, and they really delivered. Like that was really really awesome. And yes, for those of you, there's some people who are like, why are you talking about them in day form? Well, they're non-binary, and I want to respect that. So therefore. And but I'm very proud of basically every guest musician on this album. Like there's still the people in the choir that I haven't mentioned, and then obviously they will be mentioned in the documentary. And everyone who contributed something great to the record, really. So in that sense, I'm just so happy with how it turned out.
Yeah, so that's praising your guest musicians and eating cakes. Chocolate cakes.
Yeah, there's a cookie.
Yeah, it's the funny thing in German is that the word for cookie is cakes.
Yeah, I know. And then like Keks, right? Keks.
Yeah, cakes.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I know. Which is also funny because kek was this meme word that a lot of guys were using as this ironic laughing thing, like kek. That was used in a lot of, I believe, meme message boards and such. So it was like, you guys are aware that you're saying cookie in German all this time, right? Are you aware of this?
Yeah, there were many things happening on the meme and GIF or GIF. I will say GIF.
Yes,
GIF. I hate GIF. I think it's wrong. It feels wrong.
Every person that says GIF kind of, I don't really have a scoring system in my head. But when I hear a person unironically say GIF, then they do lose a few points, even though I don't have a scoring system. It's like, you just dropped. Sorry, you lost a few points. I'm not sure how you're going to return those.
It's like a scene in a military movie where you strip them off their medals.
A bit like that. Like
Yeah,
I still like you. I still appreciate you as a person, but just a bit less. Just a tiny bit less.
There's a thing in German where you say China, but with a K.
Kinda?
China. It's yeah. We say China or China.
Oh right.
And people who say Kina are always exactly the same. It's like it's like someone, yeah, did take a poop on the desk.
The whole world pronounces that as shit. How can you even? Like, unless you live in a village with no access to anything, no internet or anything, which I highly doubt, by the way. And then everyone is like, "Oi, Akina." It's like, no, it's not. It really fucking isn't.
Those people spell chemicals like that too. It's in Germany. It's Chemie, and those people say Kina and Chemie, and it's like most people who talk like that are not stupid.
Oh man, like it would make me twitch. Like, I don't want to be elitist about things. I hate being elitist about things. I know I have my elitist tendencies, and I really, really try to get rid of them and try to catch them when they happen. But there's just certain things that happen to me. Go, you know, like.
Yeah, that was disgusting. Let's change the topic and never mention that again.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I know you for a little time now. It's since 2020, and I know you're a fucking workaholic. So, how many songs do you have for like the next record?
Actually, far less than you might think. But that's also because I am working on new stuff, but I'm actually working on new stuff with Dreamwalkers Inc. right now. So basically, my writing and most of my my creative process either went to writing mini songs, because that's what I've been doing on the socials, and that is actually something I like doing quite a bit. Like, I love writing 20-minute epics for my albums, but I also really like taking a subject and writing a 30-second song that is just really stupid, and that just, you know, that has some fun in it, and that makes people smile, because I also like doing that. But really, most of my writing and arranging has been in Dreamwalkers Inc., because we're releasing a new album with Dreamwalkers Inc. either in late 2022 or early 2023, kind of depends on how long the production process will take. And it's interesting because the whole idea behind that has been that originally Dreamwalkers Inc. was literally just the live band for my own music. That was how it started out in 2016. And just fast forward to now, we kind of evolved Dreamwalkers Inc. into its own thing. So this will be the first album for Dreamwalkers Inc. in which I am actually not the sole writer. Like, we really wrote all this material together. There's like guitarists of this guy and drums of the drummer, etc. You know, that's really how it came together. And that's why a lot of my arranging and time spent while also working on this album and promoting this album was also spent on Dreamwalkers Inc. So I have been making music, but most of that is now in that album, which hopefully will then be released. And I do have some demo ideas lying around, because for me, a lot of music already is in my head. I just haven't written it down yet, if you know what I mean. So there's
of course.
So there's like atmospheres and there's things that I really want to do. So if you would ask me what the next 3 TDW albums would be, then I could say that one is going to be probably a 20-minute song about how I look at world history and conservatism. That is one. There's an album I want to do which will mostly be orchestral music, and which will be a concept record about an old mansion and a family who goes through all sorts of dark shit in that. And there's an idea for also an orchestral piece which is very abstract and which I'm not entirely sure what to do with yet, but it's just that I would like to do 2 orchestral pieces, and I'm not even sure if those will be full albums. Maybe they will just be like 4-minute songs, I don't know, but it's just floating around in my head, like, okay, I want to do this whenever I have time and whenever it naturally comes, because that's the thing. It's like The Days the Clock Stopped, for instance, is an album that was released last year, but the moment it happened is 11 years ago. And I also know that my head kind of works in a way that things have to move around in it and gestate and just kind of evolve. And then at a certain point, then I know that my stomach and my brain are aligned, and they're like, now you got to do this. Like, now's the time.
The stars aligned, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But that's really what it is. And I feel I've been talking to a lot of writers in different things, like not just musicians, but also like people who write books or whatever. And that's kind of the universal truth for everyone who does creative stuff. It's like you just gotta feel it. Like if you're not feeling it, don't do it. And the moment you feel it, go. Like then there's no question that you gotta do it. Then you gotta do it because your whole body is just telling you, work on this now. You know,
get this out of the system.
Exactly. Exactly. Like, and I know that there's a lot of ideas and things that I want to do which are not entirely ripe yet, but that's fine. You know, it's the new Dreamwalkers Inc. album will be another process, which is also good for me because that is a community process and we're doing it together. So then that's a different way of writing, and that will inspire me again to write by myself. And then all these things kind of feed off of each other, I think.
Great. So, okay, there's less material for the future in the making than I thought, but I think that's still much more than the usual musician has in store at this point in time.
Well, like I said, I know it's gonna happen. Like in my and also remember that I'm now releasing this album at this point. I've literally been living with this album for the last couple of months, and the reason why I could write a new album as quickly as I did now is also because I wrote most of the Days the Clock Stopped in the years before. But now I literally wrote this album in 6 months, and I'm now also promoting it 2 months after. So this is also it's new for me to be in this situation that I'm like, oh yeah, there's going to be a lot happening. I just don't have it right now. Because normally when an album is done, you're already working on the next one. Because that is already, you already had been living with those songs for so long, and that is different now. But I don't mind. By now I'm confident. I mean, come on, this is my 7th album. It's not like I suddenly don't have any inspiration anymore. Like that's not gonna happen. No, I'm not scared of that.
Great to hear that, mate. So I think that's a wrap for now. I would like to talk to you about the songs. Later on in the second part or another interview, because I will have to sit down and listen to this for a few times, and I would like to talk in depth about the songs.
Okay.
Especially that Headache song sounds very interesting to me. So yeah, let's do this. And I would say for today that's a wrap. You can now eat bigger cookies.
Well, I'm gonna be editing video today. I need to get the documentary ready for the coming week, because when you guys see this video online, the album's probably already out. The documentary is already on YouTube, etc. So you can check that out at the Layered Reality YouTube. And basically, I'll be preparing that today, and the Aeon Zen interview and many other things. So I'll be busy.
Yeah. I will be busy too with cutting some videos, rendering videos, and eating breakfast in a few minutes. So
you absolutely should, my man. Thank you for having me.
Always, mate. Yeah, have a nice day. Get busy. Get your stuff together. I try to do the same.
Will do. Hey, talk to you later, man. Bye, and thank you all for listening.
Bye-bye.